안녕하세요. 텍트로닉스 기술 지원팀의 이기흥 이사라고 합니다. 오늘 소개시킬 장비는 세 장비가 되겠는데, 첫 번째 것은 그 아이소브 프로브에 대해서 설명드리려고 합니다. 현재 이 장비는 5시리즈 스코프라고 해서 새로 올해 초에 출시된 장비인데, 굉장히 그 노이즈 자체가 적습니다. 약 500 마이크로볼트까지 내려가고 CBT 레졸루션을 지원하며 8채널을 동시에 지원할 수 있는 그런 장비가 되겠습니다. 여기 보시는 아이소브 프로브라고 하는 것은 와이드밴드갭, WG, 겐이나 식 디바이스 같은 거를 측정할 때 아주 유용합니다. 현재 이 보드에서는 현재 지금 겐 디바이스를 측정하고 있는데요. 현재 일반적으로 겐 디바이스를 측정할 때 많이 쓰는 THDP 0200 하이 볼테이지 프로브가 있습니다. 이 볼테이지 프로브로 측정했을 때는 이 보시는 바와 같이 화형들이 정확하게 보이지 않습니다. 여기 뒤에 보시면은 노이즈가 많이 껴 있고요. 라이징도 느리면서 윌러 플롯이라고 하는 겐 디바이스의 전형적인 윌러 플롯 같은 게 제가 보이지 않죠. 오버시터 많이 있고요. 근데 이 프로브를 된것 같이 아이소브 프로브로 봤을 때는 그 자체의 밀러 플롯 정확히 보이고 노이즈 자체가 적어집니다. 라인 타임도 상당히 빨라지죠. 이런 식으로 정확한 플롯을 볼 수 있는 것이 이 아이소브 프로브입니다. 이 아이소브 프로브는 한 2500V까지의 전압을 측정 가능하며 밴드위스가 하이 볼테이지면서 약 800M까지 지원할 수 있는 고성능의 와이드 밴드 갭 전용 프로브라고 할 수 있습니다.
What started IsoVu was really a journey. It started in around 2012. We'd gone to the APEC conference and we presented a paper, introduced our new high voltage differential probe to the market, and we had a few guys come over and hold us up and saying this will not work for us. And we were like, our new product, it's double the bandwidth of anything in the industry. He says, it doesn't have the performance we need. These guys working on wide bandgap, silicon carbide, gallium nitride at the time were saying, nothing works. These are impossible measurements. And that kind of really triggered coming back into Beaverton and talking to the team. What triggered us to say, we got to do something.
Well, it was after their trip to APEC when they came back with this set of requirements and decided that, the conventional approaches weren't going to work. All these other methods that we talked about had obvious limitations, and doing it optically got us ahead a lot of those limitations. And so we decided to try and investigate this optical approach.
So I came on board just about the time that they made the initial pivot from small to medium size. What I was asked to do, I'm the software guy in the group. We said, well, we're going to stick this in something the size of a pencil. So I had to get really creative with the processor, and I was also given probably less than 3 milliwatts. So this provided some very interesting challenges with doing a processor in low power mode, shut it down whenever possible.
So the team was formed. It was amazing how the team came together. At first, we're all scratching our heads, how do we do it? But a lot of times in the lab and a lot of failures along the way and roadblocks at the point where we say, this is going to work. We pivoted at least twice trying to develop something like this.
Yeah, we did that initial pivot that we're talking about where we went to change the size of the sensor head. And one of the reasons that we realized that was necessary was because there were all these other problems that we weren't getting to because we were focusing on trying to get the small sensor head to work. And so once we did this pivot to the larger sensor head and the off-the-shelf components, then we could focus more on the connectivity issues, which is huge. That was the next really big challenge that we had. I mean, we kind of addressed the power over fiber thing. We had a power budget that we thought we could work within, but then the connectivity thing, we started doing these tests on various circuits that we had in the lab and trying to get the performance that we wanted in common mode rejection, and conventional connection techniques just weren't cutting it. And they weren't even close. And so, we went around and around and around in the lab trying to find an architecture, a configuration for that probe tip that would work.
Well, when I first came on the team, they had a prototype, but it was just exploded all over a table. It was not something that you could package or sell. So we had to start working on a packaging strategy. We had to start working with industrial design to say, all right, we think the box looks like this. how are we going to make this look fairly decent given our size constraints?
And then once they saw it, it was sold. There was no going back. Once they saw that first prototype at APEC with a big metal box on their DUT with those waveforms, I think there were some choice words too. They were amazed that we could do it. That was the most incredible experience, I think, in my life at Tektronix, is that we had a line of customers lined up, and that was like the big wow. That we knew we were onto something. The other heart of IsoVu is there's at least 10 patents. So each time we ran into a roadblock, it actually generated IP that was, how do we protect this? Wayne, he would solve it. You were on a journey that was like, oh man, I don't know if this is going to work. And he would pull it off. And next thing you know, it's like, this is awesome. He was like pulling magic every time. It's stable traces, all the warts he kind of hid with the software.
Most of them.
I hear stories and tidbits about how customers are just excited about seeing things that they weren't even aware was happening. Some of them were said to be even in a panic that, oh my gosh, this artifact is on my circuit and I didn't even know it's there. That it kind of got them worried, but worried for the right reason.
Going to these trade shows and having this constant stream of customers come through the booth and say, man, this is really great. I've never been able to see this before. How do I get one of these? It just really makes you feel good about having developed this product. Even the last show we went to, even though the product's been out for several years, there's still people coming to the booth with the same reactions. I just didn't know we could do this.
Making the impossible possible. It's not just 10% better or 20% better than anything in the world. It's thousands of times better. It's not I don't know which one I like better. It's like, no, this one is by far the clear winner. There's no thought. They see it, they believe it. It's a great selling tool.